What's up, everybody? Brett here. We're back today casting another 1v1 Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer battle. It's going to be from my boy EvilSunz Big Mech. Sends in some pretty great replays. It's on the new patch. I think it's going to be my first multiplayer game cast on the new patch. And it's going to be Morathi as the Dark Elves versus Patty de Mayonnaise on the Bretonnians. As soon as I saw this name, Patty Mayonnaise, if you ever watched Doug in the 90s, guys, that show was freaking awesome. Anyway, let's slow-mo. Let's go over the teams. Because EvilSunz, he sent me this replay and he named it Scourge of Bretonia. And I think there's going to be some serious Scourge Runner gameplay here. It's very punny. So Scourge Runner Chariot, of course, a new unit for the Dark Elves. And they are, I don't know if they're overpowered, but they're awesome. Their missiles do a lot of damage. And they're also, besides, they're just great chariots. And he's bringing the Ravagers of Rakarth. These guys have poison and a net effect for when you get close to them. So they reduce your speed and lower your missile resistance, which is just infuriating. They already have a speed of 84, so it's going to be very difficult for anything, including these Royal Hippogriff Knights here with Henri, as I think Rapunzel likes to call them. They're going to be up in the air. They're kind of like a mobile anti-large armor-piercing contingent that's pretty damn tough, but there's no healing on this side of the battlefield for the Bretonnians. So any damage that the Royal Hippogriff Knights take is going to be pretty damn permanent. And Henry, he wants to be near Rapunzel because he wants to be providing that guardian aura, but I definitely see using him as a paladin, the only paladin in the game that can ride a hippogriff. Using him as kind of a mobile leadership core with the Royal Hippogriffs makes sense to me as well, though. So, basic front line here of Dread Spears, just going to be meant to tie down the hordes of Bretonnian infantry, while the Scourge Runners and the Cold One Knights that are on the field can kind of mop up and do their work. There's two groups of them. They're more anti-large. No doubt expecting some Bretonnian cavalry. There is none, however, so except for Rapunzel herself. But the more interesting part of this battle is going to take place here. It's going to be like in the air, right? You've got Morathi and her special debuff. She's got the Heartrender, and I think it's called Enchanting Beauty. Yes, so it lowers melee attack and charge bonus. This lowers melee attack and melee defense. She's got her spells, of course, Miasma, Pit of Shades, all good stuff. But in conjunction with a new item that I've never seen before on the Master. It's a buffing item called Helm of Many Eyes. It increases armor and melee attack. So in addition to debuffing in an AoE, they're going to be buffing in an AoE, and that'll let the Crows of Cain, these regiments of renown, who have Crow Feast, gives them replenishment whenever they're in melee combat. They are going to be snacking on whatever they hit, and buffs plus debuffs, very good for units that hit hard and hit fast, but they themselves are not very tanky. So I love that synergy there. I think that's going to work out great for him. And before this group kind of clashes here, you can already see the missile damage on the Scourge Runners is taking over there. The front line for the Bretonnians is going to be a mix of Battle Pilgrims. They've got men-at-arms with pole arms off to the side. That's going to serve them well versus the large units. We've got a Damsel with the Lore of Beasts, no doubt looking just to summon as many Manticores as they can get. Some cheap Spearmen. 3 Peasant Bowmen, which I think are an awesome bring in this matchup. Giving you the ranged advantage. 1 with pox, so some poison. That's exactly how I like to do it as well. Having 3 poison archers doesn't really do anything, especially if you're going to be firing at the same target. Like I said, just enough spearmen to cover the flanks. And then Rapunzel herself. Let's go ahead and take a look at her. Haven't really got to see her on the channel yet. She's a beautiful unit, really. I love the color scheme. And she's bringing 3 abilities now. So she has the Fleur-de-Lis banner, which gives, you know, a nice melee defense, melee attack buff in an AoE. She has the Halo of Maidenly Wrath, which can do amazing damage versus light armored units. But more importantly, it has this debuff here, the minus 24 melee attack and minus 24 melee defense definitely being the most pertinent. And then the Sword of Mayonnaise, even when I want to say it right, I'm probably going to end up saying mayonnaise. But this is what makes her an amazing duelist. That 40 melee attack puts her up to 85. And then armor-piercing damage and weapon damage, all huge. So, without any further ado, guys, let's come over here and watch these hippogriffs get torn up by units they'll never have any chance of catching. And down some of them go. I would even say that a Melkoth added to that would be an amazing thing here. And I think you might want to turn off the firing from these chariots, because it looks like they're just going to slaughter a bunch of the harpies here. Yeah, they're shooting in, but I can't help but feel like they're just hitting harpies right now. Morathi got dunked on a little bit. The harpies are going down. And yeah, Soul Stealer. That's not a bad choice. Royal Hippogriffs are pretty tanky. They've only lost 1 model despite, or now 2, despite losing almost all of their HP. But yeah, definitely pull the Harpies away and just let one of these Scourge Runners chase them off the battlefield. Now you don't even need to do that. And the Master is an anti-large specialist as well. And with that, oh, that's devastating. And Rapunzel comes in to try and support. She's very mobile. You'll see here a Pharaoh Manticore being summoned to try and aid in that aerial battle, but it's too little too late. It's already gone heavily the way of the Dark Elves. Wouldn't be surprised to see these Crows of Cain thrown in against this Pharaoh Manticore to tie it down, or maybe even dunking on this Lore of Beastcaster. Rapunzel is not a good target. She's a little too tanky, a little too strong. And they don't need to chase off Henri anymore. He's broken. Super broken. And now the Scourge Runner Chariots are kind of free to do whatever they want. The only really harassing ability that the Bretonnians have here is going to be the Peasant Bowmen. And it's up to the Dark Elves. They can kind of take whatever fight they want. This Pharaoh Manticore, this is not a good fight for it. And the Crows of Cain, it might kill a few models. But they're going to be regenerating as they fight. And they really just need to hold it down. Waste some of the Winds of Magic of the Damsel. Alright, good target here, Scourge Runner. But the Scourge Runners themselves, 80 armor. They're not the softest targets for stuff like Peasant Bowmen. They don't have the best armor-piercing values. They really rely on a volume of fire to do their damage. And the Scourge Runner are completely uncontested here. They can just run in to this front line. Without the Spearmen or the Men-at-Arms with polearms braced in the front, like, look at this. They're going to run down the sides, and he's got multiples. Might as well, though, just let him sit back and keep shooting. You can get a lot of value that way. But he's going to pull them out and through. Good strategy there. Just go park them on the other side of the tree line, and while your opponent is kind of fixated on that one chariot unit, you send in the other ones. And I think that's exactly what he's doing there. His cav is tearing up these polearms that are on the side. One of the best answers that the Bretonnians have for all of these mobile threats. And getting them off the battlefield is pretty huge. Let's slow-mo it. Ooh, let's get this charge. Okay, I slow-moed it a little bit early, but that's still, you get the idea. Get him. Oh, that was sick. Still shooting while moving. And yeah, here comes more Cold One Knights. It's funny because the infantry battle, completely irrelevant. The Battle Pilgrims will do amazing versus Dread Spears, of course, and we can take a look at them. Battle Pilgrims are made to fight. These guys got Frenzy. And Dread Spears are made to hold. So, definitely the advantage goes to them, but it's a little too little and a little too late. The entire Bretonnian army here is in shambles. They just cannot deal with these chariots. And they're running rampant. Cold One Knight's doing a little bit of a stick and move tactic. They don't want to get tied down with spears. I mean, they'll get dragged down pretty heavily there if you give them the chance. Rapance, though, where is she? She's off in the backfield chasing these Scourge Runner chariots with the Damsel. Not really the best move. She needs to be in and amongst some polearms, in and amongst some spearmen, fighting to the last. You could do like a little bit of geometry here. I mean, you've got 3 units here with charge defense against large. You could make like a little triangle, stick your units in the middle. The Dark Elves are basically out of all range tools. The biggest danger would definitely be like a Soul Stealer, something like that from Marathi, or a Pit of Shades even. But I think that's your best bet. Just getting run over like this. These Scourge Runner chariots are just so brutal. And I think we're pretty close to the end of this one. Yeah, there goes the Damsel. And the Snipe Squad, the Master plus Marathi. Marathi is someone, it's very easy to underestimate her dueling abilities. She is anti-large, she's super fast. She can basically be anywhere on the battlefield that she wants. And with the correct spells being applied at the right time, that look like another Soul Stealer going off. Plus the Master. The buffs and the debuffs, guys, that's what it's all about. And winning that opening battle in the air versus those Hippogriffs. I'm not actually shocked that the Bretonnian player thought he had a chance there. I mean, the Hippogriff should be the king of the skies, but a general rule of thumb is whenever you're fighting versus a low model count unit versus a very high model count unit, this is a cheap unit. The Crows of Cain are not an expensive unit compared to, you know, Royal Hippogriff Knights. So sacrificing them early on was definitely in the favor of the Dark Elves, and I feel like the Bretonnian player perhaps should have known that. And also, I would say it's a risky choice to bring the Damsel with the Lore of Beasts instead of Life. Anytime I'm bringing, you know, high or low model count, high HP units like the Royal Hippogriff Knights or Henri or Rapunzel who can't heal herself, I would want the Lore of Life. I would think. You know, if you bring the Fey Enchantress and you want to bring a Damsel with the Lore of Beast just for Mana Core summoning, I understand that. That's probably really strong in the meta right now. But otherwise, Great play here from EvilSunz Big Mech. I think what he did was he invalidated a lot of the choices that the Bretonnian player made, and he made good use of his mobile threats. And I love the Scourge Runner chariots. I think they're an awesome inclusion. They're one of the only chariots in the game that makes me want to use chariots. I would say Cetra's chariot, Chariot of the Gods, pretty sweet. Every time I see that, I want to use a chariot. And Gorby's. Gorby's chariots are the sickest chariots in the game. IMO. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to see more, tune in. If you want to submit any replays on the most recent patch, you can just go to the Discord channel. I'm looking for more to do right now. I'm a little bit busy to play myself, unfortunately, right now. But if you guys want to send in replays, I'd be happy to cast them. Just make sure they're on the new patch. And, yeah, interesting. I'd love to cast them. So, without any further ado, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brett. And as always, I will see you in the next one, guys. Take care.